I am the Earth. Alright, so this is an Elemental Pioneer list, with one exception. This is built around an interesting synergy slash combo I found while tinkering around in Brawl. And that is the interaction between the cards of Boomy, Unleashed, and Ashaya, Soul of the Wild. So, for those who aren't aware, Ashaya, Soul of the Wild has the ability to turn all non-token creatures we control into forests. And Boomy has the ability when he enters to Earthbend 4, and then whenever he deals combat damage to a player, we untap all lands we control. And then after this phase, there's an additional combat, but only lands can attack. Well, if Ashaya's on the field, Boomy's a land. So Boomy can attack again and again and again. This creates basically an infinite combat step. There's also another cool interaction where, because these are both expensive cards, Boomy can Earthbend onto himself, giving himself haste and immediately going for it. Now this does change him to a 4/4 trampler, but that is the basic combo. So basically if these two cards get out and we can attack, we can basically trigger multiple combats, even infinite. So with that in mind, I figured to myself, well, Ashaya is a very powerful elemental creature, so let's build it around an elemental shell. For that reason, we're running a full play set of the Risen Reef. Whenever an elemental enters, we get to look at the top card. If it's a land, we put it onto the battlefield tapped. If it's anything else, we put it into our hand. We also run a full play set of Spelunking to basically turn this Risen Reef into a secondary combo where we can basically churn through our deck and dump out tons and tons of creatures over and over again. Now with that in mind though, we've got to have elementals. So with this, I decided we should have a secondary landfall synergy because, well, interestingly enough, we can play two elementals which also care about landfall. The Akrum Hellhound and the Bushfire Elemental both pump themselves whenever a land enters, and if a Shah's on the battlefield, they'll pump themselves, make additional things. Very interesting synergies. In addition to that, we're running a full play set of Leafkin Druid. It's a mana dork that also triggers Risen Reef, and Voice of Resurgence. I love this card. It's probably not good anymore, but it's a bit of resiliency and it does force us into 4 colors. With that in mind, the top end of our deck, because we basically make a ton of mana, is a 2 copies of Chandra, the Awakened Inferno, can't be countered, and can basically give out emblems and do a mini board wipe for non-elementals. And the Genesis Ultimatum, which lets us flip the top 5 cards of our library and put all permanents into play. Spoiler alert, most of this deck is permanents. I love casting this spell, so I'm going to look forward to casting it again. Our mana base is all over the place. We have a 6 basic lands, a full playset of Fable Passages for landfall, a couple copies of Check lands, 2 playsets of Temur Shock lands, and a spread of Triomes to get our colors. Since not everything in our deck is an elemental, we need colors, so we can't run any of the tribal lands. And that is the deck. There is one other synergy which doesn't come up in the video, which I will explain as we show here. We'll go into a match showing Sparky. Welcome to a quick demo match against Sparky. Now, I am going to have some real gameplay, but what I wanted to do here was show off the actual interaction of this deck. So, there was one other interaction that I really wanted to show here is, there's another reason we would like to Earthbend onto Boomy, because if we have Spelunking out, we can essentially make him immortal. Because if you Earthbend onto Boomy, he will get the ability of, if he dies or gets exiled, return to the battlefield tapped. But with Spelunking, he'll return untapped. So there's a nice little synergy you can do where you can basically trigger him in a way that actually gets you some really good value, which I'm going to show you when we get to it here. Basically, we're just going back and forth with Sparky, just showing off some stuff. Sparky does get a bit annoyed with us. So let's use Fable Passage, and we're going to Genesis Wave here, because I love Genesis Wave. Right, so check this. We do not find the Boomy, so let's just throw all these on the battlefield. We're going to have to let live here, because I really want to show this interaction. I'm just throwing out elementals here just for the sake of literally getting... There's Boomy. So, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to attack. I'm going to let our opponent go here. They play a 2-drop, and there's a 4-drop. That makes it a little bit awkward, because obviously they could trick... Chandra makes it easier. So, play Boomy. Earthbend onto himself to give himself haste. Now, this is about the interaction I was saying about invulnerability. So, Chandra will do a mini board wipe here, do 3 damage to each non-elemental. Boomy is not an elemental. Boomy will swing in. He'll trade here, but he will trample over, triggering the additional combat. However, because of the way we can stack it, and the way Arena does auto, he'll come back, Earthbend onto himself, and then be ready to attack for the additional combat, which is a fun little interaction here. But Sparky gets a little annoyed that I didn't full swing out just because I was showing off, so we'll cut the gameplay here and move to the actual games. Alright, we got our first game here, and I'm going to spoiler alert here. I had to put the Sparky thing in because we did not pull off the traditional combo in this in these matches. So I'm looking at this hand and I'm like, you know what, we'll keep this because it's got 2 Boomies which can sort things out. Our opponent is on a Golgari strategy. So I'm like, let's start with a Voice of Resurgence in case they have removal. They have a Brood Spinner, so there's clearly some kind of graveyard deck. Let's just keep playing out mana here. Right, opponent appears to be, twice called. Yep, so there's some kind of Reanimator deck here. So, with that in mind, let's play the Brushfire Elemental. I think, oh no, we'll go Boomy, get him online, make a 4/4. Won't attack here. We're going to go wide and trigger up the Leafkin Druid. Sea Ship Broodmaster, yep, so this is a Reanimator list that's looking to go crazy. Right, let's make 2 mana, play the Brushfire, play another land, play another elemental, and then move to combat and swing fully in. So, let's see if they notice that Boomy can give the additional combat. They could double block Boomy here. Nope, they let Boomy through, so Boomy will untap all our lands, let us swing again. Our 4/4 goes in, they go down to 6, so we are doing pretty well here. I consider the Voice of Resurgence, but at this point I'm like, they've got to have some kind of mass board wipe in hand to try to stop me. Instead they play a Swarm Reaver, which gives them some Death Touch blockers. With this in mind, I think to myself, you know what, I think that my best bet is just going to be to go into combat. So let's cast some spells since we can untap our lands, move to combat, swing in. Right, they use Death Touches to block our 8/8 token. They have to not let Boomy untap the land again, so yep, they go for a full block here to kill the Boomy. And then they kill one of our Voice of Resurgence, but we can still survive with the 4/4 Elemental. So yep, put him down to 5. Land comes back. Misses landfall, unfortunate. They draw the Zombify, so they get another Swarmlord back. They've got to get blockers here. We don't draw blue mana this match, that's what I remember now about it. So, we make a 4/4 land here, we go all in, opponent has to block everything. We are going to unfortunately lose a few things here. There comes our land back, passing back. Okay. I think they have to reanimate another... They should have probably let the Swarm Weaver die there, blocking a way that it died. So they reanimate Ashkalia, and we draw a Shire. So playing a Shire here is great because it triggers landfall, and honestly I should have gone in for the attack here. Instead I just pass. So what I'm forgetting is that Boomy untaps all lands. Even if he's not Earthbend here, he could have tried to give us an additional combat. So the blocking here is super awkward because, okay, they have a dead weight here. They clearly want to trigger Delirium. So this is the mega awkward thing now. They have to block in a very awkward way. So we fully swing in here. They have to block Boomy with the 10/10 because if they don't, he will trigger an additional combat and they will die. With this in mind, we just go into combat again. They have to block the 9/9 and take him out. Yep, we forced the hand. No combo, but pretty good. Second game here with Elemental Earthbend Boomy Ashaya Friendship, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to have to come up with a name for this deck. We have a pretty slow start here, but a Risen Reef with multiple elementals is pretty good. Seeing mono green makes me think, okay, this could be a ramp deck, so I'm going to set up here to get our Risen Reefs online as fast as possible. If this is Devotion, we want to go above them as quickly as possible, so hitting a land off this Risen Reef is really good. Kazandu Mammoth, so they could be a similar landfall deck here. Looking at my options, I think I'm going to go Risen Reef, and then we can get more lands onto the battlefield. Then we can play one of the Hellhounds to get another 2 Risen Reef triggers here. So we're doing pretty well on turn 4. Okay. Nothing here that we can block with too bad. We can throw the Akruum under the bus if we have to. Great Henge. This is a big mana green ramp deck. It could be a green Devotion list. I'm going to take the 5 here. We could make a very huge Hellhound if we draw right here. So let's play the Brushfire Elemental. Put a land into play there. Trigger. Play Spelunking. Draw a card. There's an Ashaya. That's going to let us go absolutely insane eventually. Let's hit him with a 5/5. I'm going to hold the Akruum Hellhound back. Because if they have like a double power spell, I want to block the Mammoth. I don't want to risk them having some kind of... Oh, there's a Wicked Wolf. Probably should have took out the Risen Reef there, but they pass it back. Alright, so lands come into play untapped. Let's play an Elemental here. Get 2 Risen Reef triggers. We don't have to worry about that. Let's play a Shire. Play a land. Okay, let's play another Voice of Resurgence. We're just going mad now. Let's flip as much as we can. Get another voice in case they have a board wipe. However, I was not prepared for the board wipe that I think they did have in the end. Alright, so we're just throwing as many lands and stuff onto the battlefield as possible. We are looking for Boomy at this point, because Boomy with a Shire is basically the game. Alright, we just got a Hellhound, pass it back. They are pretty much dead to board here. They've got to have something insane, which, spoiler alert, they do. There's an Ugin the Spirit Dragon. So there's the -5 here, which does get rid of all of our stuff and their stuff. Let's play the Brushfire, because that can at least sort some stuff out. Take care of the Ugin. There's a Boomy, so we need another Shire here. I'm going to Earthbend onto the land. Play a land tapped. Draw a card. There's the other Boomy, so let's move to combat, attack him for 7, and attack the Spirit Dragon down. Even if they have a second Spirit Dragon now, our Earthbent land is colorless, so we get to keep that for now. But they are dead to the current board. They have to kill Boomy if they can. There's Kogla. Very good effect. Gonna kill that. Okay. Play a land tapped. No, sorry, play a land. There's another Great Henge. There's another Chain Weber to gain life. And have another blocker. There's a Shire, so this is perfect. So we play the Shire. Now we can play the Boomy. Yep, that'll create the land. Play Boomy. We can give Boomy haste by giving him Earthbend, and then we can move into combat. We could go Spelunking. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes. So we did get the combo, but we didn't get to execute it.